Olá, boa tarde. Estamos só aqui a fazer um bocadinho de compasso de espera enquanto alguns participantes ainda vão entrando. No entanto, acho que podemos ir começando, porque estamos aqui com algum número. O meu nome é Filipa Moreira, eu sou Business Developer da unidade Agri-Food, da APCER, e é com muito gosto que os recebemos neste webinar, dedicado à segurança e qualidade na cadeia de abastecimento, promovido pela parceria entre a APCER e a ENFIT. Agradecemos desde já a todos pela vossa presença e por se juntarem a nós, para discutir um tema de extrema relevância, que é a certificação ENFIT e as suas implicações na segurança e qualidade das cadeias de abastecimento. Neste webinar, vamos então explorar a importância, da certificação ENFIT e as metodologias que ela promove ao longo da cadeia de abastecimento e vamos compreender como é que as empresas podem então adaptar-se, a um mercado cada vez mais exigente, onde a segurança, a transparência e a rastreabilidade são questões, essenciais. Temos o privilégio de contar com a presença de Vladimir, CEO e Vice-Presidente da ENFIT, uma das principais figuras por trás do movimento que está a transformar a forma como encaramos a segurança e a qualidade da cadeia de abastecimento. Com uma vasta experiência na área da gestão da segurança alimentar e risco na cadeia de abastecimento, o Vladimir será então o nosso guia para entendermos melhor os princípios desta certificação pela ENFIT. Durante o webinar, o Vladimir vai partilhar informações valiosas sobre o propósito da ENFIT, as normas que a regem, as suas práticas e a importância desta certificação, onde a qualidade e a segurança são exigidas em todos os níveis da cadeia de abastecimento. Além disso, o nosso convidado também abordará como é que a rastreabilidade dos produtos e as análises de risco são fundamentais para proteger não só os produtos, mas também a confiança dos consumidores e a saúde pública. Esta certificação que o Vlada irá detalhar a seguir visa então garantir a segurança e a proteção da saúde pública em toda a cadeia de abastecimento. Esta é uma oportunidade única então para as empresas compreenderem os processos e os benefícios desta certificação. Se tiverem questões, eu peço que então vão colocando por escrito aqui no chat, que depois, a posteriori, iremos responder a todas as questões que forem colocadas, está bem? Portanto, sem mais demoras, eu vou passar então a palavra ao Vladimir para dar início à nossa sessão e a partilhar todos os detalhes sobre esta certificação. Vlada, thank you. Please feel free to start.
Thank you very much, Filipa, for this starting and introduction, and thank you all very much for joining for today's session, where I think we will talk about lots of interesting things, especially connected with the certification requirements of the Global Food Safety Initiative standards for transport hygiene. And probably you all remember that starting from 2023, majority of certifications schemes changed. For example, IFS going to version 8, FSSC going to version 6, etc. And among these changes, there was lots of changes connected with the transport hygiene and transport hygiene requirements, actually requirements for the supply chain safety, let's say it like that. Why this actually is happening in the standards? I want to go with you through some numbers so that you understand that all that is happening in the world, that all that is happening around us is actually affecting also the certification schemes, and it also affects the fact that certification schemes need to adopt to this. This means that every one of us who are in a food safety, who are food safety professionals or just in a food industry, means that we need to comply with these requirements. First of things is that when we look at the emergency situations in the world, and I don't like to go through these statistics in last 2 years or something like that. I really like to watch at it as a bigger period, yeah? And looking at the period of 2015, these crisis situations that you can feel every day and see it on the TV or other media just increased for 389%, yeah? With, of course, significant increase that came in 2019, and you remember it was a COVID, yeah? So you can imagine 389%. Some other situation, for example, are you aware that the Russia-Ukraine situation has been going on since 2022? So that's almost, or that's now 3 years of conflicts, you know, and looking at the statistics, conflicts are the dominant factor in global crisis with an increase of 150% since 2015. So it's not only Russia-Ukraine situation, it is also other situations in the world where this situation brings to the fact that 5.1 million immigrants entered the EU from non-EU countries in 2022. And this is increase on 117% just compared to 2021. But as again I said, from 2015, this is overall global increase for 324%. This is amazing, amazing big numbers. Why I'm talking about these numbers? Because all of these crisis situations are affecting food supply. Yeah. First of all, they are affecting your suppliers. And I will tell you, when this COVID crisis started, what was changed in the standards? You remember that standard then said, oh, yes, now you have requirement that asks from you to have, of course, clearly defined purchasing processes with supplier evaluation. And then they added a requirement which asks from you that in case of crisis situation, you shall have a procedure how to handle this crisis situation with your supplier and how you will approve a new supplier in case of crisis situation. So this was due to the COVID situation in 2019, the change in the requirements of the standard. But you can imagine now the changes regarding the training because of these migrations of people. You have people of different language, different cultures, different ethnicities coming to different countries. And this means that they will work in the food industry, which has a requirement now in standards that when you define your food safety policy, your instructions, your procedures, when you define your trainings, they shall be also on the language understandable to these employees. So you see, everything what is going on in the world affects the standards, affects the legislation, but also it affects us as a food professionals and also affects our industries where we work. Yeah. So coming back to a food safety, when you look at the food safety statistics, global food recalls have increased by 20% since 2015. And at the US and EU level, and over 40% of recalls in the EU are related to salmonella, to listeria, etc., and allergens. But when you look at this number from 2015, you could say, oh, compared to 300 something percentage to 150%, 20% or 40% is not too much. Yeah. But look, the biggest recall in 2022 that happened in EU was connected with salmonella. I will talk about it later. And this is only one recall that affected millions of people. So you can imagine what 20% actually increase in the recall affecting how many people, because we are talking about millions and millions of products that are affected, which means millions and millions of consumers. So you can imagine how critical is the supply chain. And when supply chains are hit by one crisis after another, they cease to be invisible. They become actually these vulnerable lifelines that demand proactive management. So it will ask from us to think outside of the certification schemes and to think how we can manage this supply chain. And today what I'm going to talk is just about one part of the supply chain, which is transport hygiene requirements, how to analyze the risk there. And I will show you some analysis from this transport hygiene risk and show you some of the problems that we encountered in 2024. These are the results for now more than 60, but at that time it was more than 40 companies that were assessed according to this risk analysis. And I will show you also the results of it. And of course, I will try to show you what are the solutions about it. First of all, I would like that we go through the requirements of the certification schemes. I will not talk too long about it, but I just want to remind you a little bit about it and that you have awareness what is there in the certification schemes. Starting from the a GFSI guidance document, now version 2020, which will be soon changed in this or next year, which means that again, all the standards will be changed. But now just focusing on the requirement of transport, in the guidance document, you will see only one requirement saying the transport shall be designed, constructed, and maintained to minimize food safety risk, and they shall be suitable. That's it, yeah? What that means, it means that all other standards like IFS, BRC, SQF, FSSC, they need to comply with this requirement. They can be more, they can set more requirements, but they have to comply with this, which is a minimum from the guidance document. In the basic of every food standard is Codex Alimentarius HCCP, GMP and HCCP, yeah? So, of course, if you have it as a basic for every standard, this means that you already have there also requirement for transport. So let's see just what Codex is saying about the transport. It is saying that food should be adequately protected during transport. And of course, regarding transport conveyance, bulk containers, they should be designed, constructed to not contaminate, that can be effectively cleaned, disinfected and dry where it is needed. They shall have some permitted effective separation, maintain temperature, humidity, atmosphere where it is needed, yeah? And further on, it is talking about the use and maintenance, yeah? That these transport units, they shall be designed and marked for food use and used only for that purposes. What is there even more said is that these conveyances or container is used for transporting of different foods, which means that they need to be effectively cleaned and where necessary disinfected and even dried. And even further, Codex is saying if you want to know more about requirements for transport, then you should go and check the Code of Hygienic Practice for the transport of food in bulk and semi-packed food. So it was not hard for me. I went there, type it in, found it, and I will just show it you here, that this is a document of 6 pages. And on these 6 pages, nothing more is said about the transport hygiene. It's only saying again that containers, conveyances should be, of course, designed, marked for food only use, etc. Food transport units now are thinking here about consecutive transport and potential cross contact, yeah? And should be and then they are saying there additionally, there should be appropriate facilities conveniently available for cleaning and where appropriate disinfecting of the food transportation units. So please, if I can just once again say this sentence, there should be appropriate facilities, which means nothing. Appropriate means nothing for us. Conveniently available for cleaning and where appropriate disinfecting of the food transportation unit. So you see, it is this sentence is so wide, it gives everyone opportunity that can wash transport unit on the open field with a hand pressured gun, yeah, which is at the end not safe. FSSC was among the first one who updated their requirement for storage and warehousing with additional requirement of transporting, saying that where transport tankers are used, then you should apply next requirement that organization that use tankers for transportation of their final products shall have a documented risk-based plan, which means now you have to perform this risk-based plan. Of course, at ENFIT we said, no, you don't have to do it by yourself. We have expert team and we have developed transport hygiene risk analysis. Some of these results I will show you later. Additionally, what you should do, you should analyze the transport tank cleaning. It shall consider potential cross-contamination, control measures, and also cleaning validation. And in case that you find out something, you should apply some kind of measure. And this is applied for the situation when you receive the raw material in tanks, but also for the situations where you transport your final product in the tanks. Why this is mentioned so transparently? Because in many situations, food producers who are transporting something in tanks, in IBC containers of their own product, they take more attention about cleaning and hygiene for these transporting units than for the transporting units that are delivering to them raw materials. This was really interesting discovery. But you see, FSSC covered it here. The same thing FSSC is saying in their own guideline, what you should do, what you should cover. IFS Food version 8 also said risk-based, appropriate temperatures checking, disinfection where it is needed, validation of the cleaning. IFS Logistic updated just in last year to the version 3.0. And I just pointed out here what was updated and what IFS is saying now for everyone in the logistic. And IFS is saying that you should have a procedures in place to prevent contamination during all the steps, including loading, unloading, transporting, storaging in case that you are renting this movable storage, etc. And of course, you should think about any contamination coming from emissions, exhaust fumes, smell, foreign bodies, packaging materials, and any other contamination, which means what you have to do, you have to do the risk analysis for each of these steps that are mentioned here, okay? Then we go to the other requirements saying hoses, pumps, filters of tankers shall be in good condition and protected from contamination during transport. If customer requires, then you should include the requirement for absence of GMOs, allergens, whatsoever, yeah? And there is a new requirement connected with the previous one saying risk-based hygiene requirements for all transport vehicles and equipment, which means that everyone who is now transferring to IFS Logistics 3.0, they should, or they shall, as IFS is saying, perform this risk analysis. So for those of you who don't know how to do it, who don't know how to cover everything, and I don't say that we are all specialists in it, but we have a special team who can do that. This team is trained in APCER, and this is a team who can really perform this transport hygiene risk analysis in your site, give you really valuable reports showing you where are the risks and how to solve it. Yeah. So you are not alone in this. IFS Logistics, of course, added some of the additional or updated some of the additional requirements regarding the cleaning, etc. But for us, also interesting one is that IFS now is saying where a company hires a third-party service provider for cleaning and disinfection of on-site activities and externally, cleaning of trucks, containers, then they shall make a contract. So in the future, when auditors come to your location, and in the case that you are using some kind of your transport or rented transport, then you should have a control on the third-party service provider for cleaning and disinfection, which means that you need to define the rules for this cleaning. Why you need to define it? Because the cleaning stations, they don't have clear rules for this, yeah? They have their own, but these are not standardized rules. I will show you why and what is happening. So this means that you will at least put it in the contract, cleaning disinfection frequency, which you need to define, documentation requirements, which means evidences of cleaning and what is standardized for you, products used and their instructions for use, which means that you need to know what you are asking for, and areas to be cleaned and disinfected. And at the end, this shall be, first of all, validated, then it shall be monitored, and then it shall be verified in some kind of intervals, yeah? Going next, BRC, same requirements, SQF, same requirements. You will get this presentation, and I don't want to go through all of them, but in general, these all requirements are saying that you need to think about intended use of the transport unit, maintenance of the transport, labeling of the transport, cleaning of transport units as a part of prevention of microbiological contamination, cleaning of transport unit for the allergen prevention of the contamination or cross contact. Then you have to think about what evidence of cleaning are showing to you what is done actually. Food defense, food fraud requirements, let's not forget about them, because you are transporting bulk products and something can happen to this product during the process of transport. And of course, external, if it's external suppliers, they have to comply with all of the listed above. You shall have the specification for transport. I mentioned to you that one of the biggest recall was in 2022, connected, of course, with the many of the recalls connected with salmonella was with powdered egg with that is coming from Poland, etc., and egg products. But the biggest recall in 2022 was connected with a product that for us was always like a safe product. Nobody thought that there could be some problems, and this was a chocolate. Why there was a problem with the chocolate? So you must remember this situation in 2022 with Ferrero products, and you had this product recall which covered lots of countries, lots of products, lots of units of products there on the market. And the reason was one factory of Barry Callebaut delivering the chocolate to Ferrero. So something happened somewhere. The contamination happened in the factory. They are saying that this contamination happened because of the powdered milk that was delivered, contaminated, and then recontaminated during the factory production. But in many cases, this contamination could happen also during the transport. Even EFSA is saying that the biggest reason for the contamination comes due to the transporting of the products that are already contaminated. And in this case, it could happen that this cross-contamination due to additional insufficient cleaning can happen in the transport units, the hoses, the airlines of the transporting unit, etc. So now we have to think also about this. So what are standards actually asking from you? Standards are asking from you now to think outside of your factory. So it's not only food safety on your site. Now you have to think about the food safety at the beginning, before the entrance to your factory, and also after the exit from your factory, which means that you have to have a bigger knowledge about everything, about ingredients, about packaging materials, about your suppliers and what they are doing on their sites. You should have also better understanding of the services in connection with the food safety, which means pest controls, which means laboratory testing, which means cleaning of the uniforms, and which means transport and transport hygiene and transport cleaning. So this is why standards are asking now from you that you do all of these things. And I know we are not a powerful team, and not every company is having this completely powerful team that can do everything, and that's why we are saying together with APCER and ENFIT team that you can rely on what we have developed. And what we have developed actually is transport hygiene risk analysis. We called it THR analysis, with an idea that we cover all the requirements from the FSSC, from the IFS, from the BRC, but we also cover the specific requirements from the ENFIT guidelines for the risks in transport of food, feed, and chemicals. We compile it. We made a real risk analysis with the evaluation. For this, we are using this safety culture tool, which has a specific formation of the checklist for all the assessors who are performing this. And when they finish answering all the questions in your factory, at the end is happening that you have a percentage success. Why this percentage success is needed? In order to understand on which level of risk is your company. And first level is a critical level. The second is a high risk. Then we have a third level, which is a medium risk. And then fourth, which is moderately risk. And companies on a level 5 are the companies that are best in class. So until now, we have done, as I said, more than 60, but for this presentation, I included just trend analysis from the 2024, and this was more than 40 companies at that time. So you will see at which level they are. What is done during the THR analysis? So if you decide to do it, APCER assessment team will come to your site, and then they will check procedures, instructions, and rules regarding transport, service traceability, which is not similar like a product traceability, hazard, threats, and vulnerability analysis to evaluate your food defense, food fraud, and HCCP connected with transport steps like loading, unloading, transporting, etc. Then validation, verification, non-conformity, and corrective actions, competencies and training programs, all connected with the transport process, yeah? And then two-part will cover the on-site analysis of transport hygiene, which includes also taking of the fast swabs, inspection with the boroscope tools inside of the transporting unit, controls on loading, unloading, and even visiting the cleaning station that you approved in order to analyze the risk connected with the cleaning station. And of course, they will do complete on-site analysis of transport units cleaning records. What kind of records you are getting and what can you see from these records? Why this is relevant? Because if you have any IFS certification, FSSC, auditor is coming to your site. What auditor can do in a minimum time of 2 days of audit? He can check transport maybe for 45 minutes. And he can check loading or unloading only if it's happening at that time. Yeah. So if it's not happening at that time, he can only check the contract, maybe some document of cleaning last, maybe some controls on loading, unloading. But 45 minutes is not too much compared to the 2 days of this exhaustive THR analysis, which will give you real inputs on what is going on in your supply chain. So what is going on really in the supply chain is that at the end you will get your percentage success for each of these actions. And the idea is actually that all the companies after 2 years, let's say in first year you are on a very low level, but you implement all the actions, and next year you do again this THR analysis and you achieve a goal of minimum 75%, which would say then that you are on a safe place, yeah, with your supply chain, with transport hygiene. But results in 2024 are not so much good, yeah. And you see it's for more than 50 companies now. I remember we compared these results, and the results for more than 50 companies internationally, not just Europe. I'm talking about companies in Europe, in Morocco, in countries all over the world. Average result is on a level of 2, which is a high risk, just basic reacting when problem occurs, and that's it, yeah. Many of these things and risk were connected, of course, with the issue of the documentation like TACCP, VACCP, etc. But many of these were connected also with the transport units, with cleaning of transport units, with records of cleaning, etc. And this is more interesting, that I would like to show you what was really results and visually for you to understand what is going on there. Yeah. So let's see these on-site risks. Yeah. What happened really? So one of the situations that happened that is a part of this assessment THR on site is that assessors will wait for you to perform the controls before loading or controls after the unloading of the product or before the unloading of the product. And then they will check out the procedure, what you are doing, and your operators, what they are doing, what they are checking, what they are controlling, what they are recording, etc., and what is important for them or what is not important for them. One of the things on control is to control, of course, the labeling of the transport unit. And we would expect that all transport units that are transporting food are labeled with a label that says for food only, yeah? For foodstuff only, or on your language, maybe in Portuguese, it should also write for foodstuff only. But in many cases, it happened that there is no label for foodstuff only. Yeah? So in one case, I even noticed that there is one label for the GMP plus. Knowing that GMP plus is for the certification of animal feed, I was thinking, oh, it could be that this transporting unit was transporting some animal feed ingredient in bulk, but additionally, they delivered for us the flour on the location of the confectionery production. Then there was this transporting unit with no any kind of labeling, delivering also the flour for us. So just remember these cases, and later on I will show you what additionally happened. Additional cases, what would happen is that you have a transporting units that maybe transported chemicals, and then they have these stickers over here, you see, that are removed, and now they are for foodstuff only. So this is also a very interesting situation that could happen, which means that you should have a lots of knowledge to recognize that and to recognize a potential risk. What was the previous loading? How is this possible? Is this transporting unit still suitable for foodstuff only if previous loads were chemicals? Maybe it was a food approved chemicals, but maybe it wasn't, yeah? So we don't have any evidences at the moment about that. One of the biggest discoveries we had during our THR analysis in 2024 is the airlines. So these are the pipes actually for the compressed air. Why this compressed air is used? Actually, you have a compressor machine equipment on the truck that is working and pushing the air, compress the air, and push this air through these pipelines that are installed on the transporting unit. These pipelines on the tank goes from the front to the back, and then it goes in every of the manhole above. And it's used actually to push the product outside during the unloading, yeah? So if you can imagine, for example, the juice in the bottle, yeah? If you start pouring the juice from the bottle, it would suck out the bottle, yeah? But in case when you have valves above, or you have air which is pushing the product outside, then this bottle is not squeezed, yeah? This is the same case for the tank. Is explained very easily and practically. But what we notice is that this pipeline, for example, have this dead end, which is starting from here to here, which is never washed. And we went there with a special tool of borescope to see what is going on, and there were remains of product, remains of previous uncleaning, etc. And this is a direct contamination of every transported product here that was pushed with the compressed air. Of course, in ENFIT, we are working with lots of members who are producers of the transporting units, and then we expect from them also to change that in the future, and we are changing procedures for washing of this, because now cleaning stations are not washing this. They don't have tools, they don't have equipment to wash this, yeah? So this could be a big problem. Another problems are also loading, unloading parts and equipment, which can be, you see like here, damaged, and this becomes a physical hazard in your product. Of course, you can stop it with your filters, with your sieves and everything, with your magnets, but this is not sufficient, which means that you need to lose a lot of time. Additional things are the hoses, for example, loading and unloading of the loads, which in some cases are just not cleaned sufficiently and can pose additional potential cross-contamination. And you know, in some of the evidences of the documents that you get, if you look at these evidences, you will see that these hoses are not washed every time when they wash the complete transport unit. And in that case, you can have a remains of the previous product inside of the hoses or any other potential contaminants that will be pushed to your factory, or you will push your product to it and send it to your customer. So this becomes a big problem. At one loading that was controlled, I asked the operator, is this okay? Or missing filter here, is this okay? Or this duct tape, is this okay? And he said, oh, we don't have any rules about it. We check only visually and see that everything else is clean, and we confirm. but these are potential physical hazards or no prevention of potential physical hazards, which means that the next product that they deliver can be contaminated with these physical hazards. Yeah? Of course, inside the transporting units can be all of these situations, because at the moment there is no continual checking of the suitability of the transporting unit. What does that mean? That means if the transport tank is produced today, he is approved for food because all the materials are there, design is done, etc. But what happens in 1 year, 2 years, 20 years, nobody knows. Nobody checks continually the food suitability. ENFIT worked and published in January this year a guideline for inspection of the D norm, so that every transporting unit should be inspected on every 2 years for continual food suitability. At the moment, it doesn't exist anywhere. So you can only trust your transporter that his transporting unit is okay. Yeah, you will see. Try it, ask it, and you will see. So, but the good thing is we have a solution. Yeah. In many cases, they will say, oh, we have our own hoses for the loading, unloading. We have our own equipment. In this assessment of THR, we also focus on those things. And you will see in some cases that loading equipment is damaged, that also unloading equipment is damaged. And you have this spilling of the product, additional potential contamination with fumes, with dust, and of course, potential physical hazards. This is a pump that is also used for unloading of the product inside of the transporting units. And you see this here, this means that the pump is open. So after washing, this pump remains open to dry at the normal air, yeah? And it remains open while the driver is driving from the cleaning station to the loading area. In loading area, this pump is not used because it's only used for unloading. He loads the product, he never closes the pump, he drives minimum 800, 1,200 kilometers, comes to the location, close this pump, and then starts unloading. So everything that is collected now in the pump here, dust, fumes, particles, it is the first thing that he unloads to your factory. And for this, what you shall have sieves, filters, and everything, which means that they get dirty, which means that you need to change them more often, and you need spending additional money. Why? Because you didn't set only one sentence saying immediately after washing, the pump shall be closed. This is how you save money, of course. Yeah. So other things, as I already mentioned, are the pipelines with the compressed air. This is a compressor on the truck. What he does, he takes the air from the surrounding, and then he have a filter to filter this air, because this air can contain some fumes, dusts, and everything. And then it goes through this pipe or the hose connector to the pipeline. But you see, this compressor doesn't have any protection. This hose doesn't have any protection, and there is no filter at the end. So what you are doing, you are actually putting direct contamination with your product inside of the factory. Sometimes we set up as a food defense requirement that all openings on the tank should have seals. But you see now, we easily open all of these airlines without even damaging the seals. And when we used the clean cards, which is a protein swab, just to see what is going on, you see it's not a protein, it's oils, dust, and fumes inside that can be detected. So all of this is pushed to your product. You have no direct protection against this. This is the similar situation checked in some of the hoses, and you can see how even the covers, even in the document, it says that this is washed, but when you open it physically, you see this is not washed. And this is cover of the filter here. Yeah. This is also the filter from the compressor, and you see that who knows when was the last time when this changed. Due to these situations, we had to develop a new procedures on how to inspect these places. Yeah, because only looking it outside visually, you don't have any clue deeply what is going on. So we actually implemented the situations where we can inspect it with the borescope or endoscope inspection. So if you scan this, you don't have to do it right now, scan this QR code, but if you scan it, it will lead you to a YouTube channel where you can check inside videos how, with the borescope, how it looks like. You don't have to do it right now to lose time. You will get this presentation and also video recording so you can watch it later, yeah? But what I will tell you is that we started also trainings for employees. The idea in future is to have ENFIT qualified inspector at each production location. And these are the persons who are capable actually of doing the checking on loading, unloading, who are trained externally with a specialist that can inspect the transporting units. Yeah, the idea is in the future to at every production location to have at least 2 persons. I will show you why this is done. In many cases, when I'm doing this assessment, when I'm doing the auditing, I would always ask those who are doing the loading or unloading what they control on loading, unloading. In this case, we have a transport unit that arrived for the loading. And I asked the company, what do you check? And they said, oh, we are always taking the sample from this area. This is a fast swab ATP to confirm that everything is okay regarding the cleaning. And if that is okay, we can start loading. And I said, okay, can we take a sample? So we took a sample from the same place and we confirmed that everything is okay. And this actually, ladies and gentlemen, confirmed how we are wrong. Why? Because every time you go and you ask your internal laboratory, your controls, what they are controlling and how they are controlling, they will always point out and show you exactly the same place. Which means if you ask them how many times your controls failed in last 2 months, they will say never. Why? Because they are always taking from the same place. This is same in the dairy industries, every industry. Why they are taking from the same place? Because procedures are old and they are always doing according to this procedure. But the reality is that with washing of this transport unit, the majority of washout water and everything is coming exactly through here, which means that this must be clean. So we enter with the borescope inside of this hose and you see what is going on inside. So we have now confirmation that it is clean, but in reality, you have the direct contamination of your unloaded product. Yeah. So these are the failures in controls. The same situation happens here, that there is no filter. For example, there should be some filter, but no. Also some situations with the connections, with the hoses that are not cleaned, or connectors. For example, when they are washed, they are returned in the box, and this box is never cleaned, which means direct contamination for all of them. Some of them are also stored in the boxes with other liquids that could be contaminants for your product, which is really not a good practice. We took a lot of samples, and these samples confirmed that the cleaning, even though it was recorded on the documents, was not really done. That's why we recommend that you take more samples from different sites, and that these samples are always saved as maybe your KPIs for the transporting units. Regarding the food defense, then we come to an interesting place. Sometimes companies are asking that all the points are sealed, but sometimes they ask only for one seal, which means nothing, yeah? All points on the transporting unit should be sealed. Even when all points on transporting units are sealed, there are still deficiencies. And in one Dubai conference, they asked me, can you give us some statistics about this? And I said, yes, I can give you. It's very easy. From 100 trucks that we tested, 100 failed on this. Yeah, we could open any opening without damaging the seals. So what they are for them over there, yeah? Which means that if I can open this, I can open this and this, I can put something inside and intentionally contaminate your product. So please be aware of this, how it is done, how it is tracked, how it is followed, because there are many situations that this is not done correctly. Again, coming to the hoses, you see insufficient cleaning, you see the hoses that are left on the ground, which can be additional path for the contamination and even pests coming inside of these hoses, yeah? So now I'm returning back to the beginning. You remember that transport unit with the GMP plus sign over there? Yeah. And I was thinking like, if there is a GMP plus, this could mean that this transport unit transported maybe transported the animal feed. Yeah. Okay. Then I said, so let's check the evidence of the cleaning. And evidence of cleaning showed that this cleaning evidence is for the registration plate 172, and registration plate that arrived at our site is 171. Okay, so we called the supplier and we asked them how many transport units they have, and they said we have 2 transport units, 171 and 172, and 171 is always used for animal feed. So now they deliver to us the flour in actually transport unit that was used for animal feed. And why I'm saying this? Because animal feed has a different levels for the microorganisms compared to the, of course, food or the flour for human consumption. And in this case, this middle range could mean that your product is contaminated and you are receiving it and you are not controlling it because you are not doing this microbiological test on this type of reception. Additional cases with some other documents showed, for example, that for the same registration plate, sometimes you have 8 seals, sometimes 6. So what is correct? What is true? In some cases, you have even evidences where transporter or the driver is saying, I have done the washing. So you have to trust to him. What kind of washing? How he can wash the airlines, yeah? Or any of these specific, you have seen how many things are there on the transport tank, yeah? Additionally, they say, we go in the cleaning station to do the washing once per week, and then we do some additional washing. But then you look at the document saying that only outside washing was done. Yeah, only from the outside surface. Nobody washed inside. There are also some other documents that are not even qualified, given by the logisticians, by the transporters, saying we have washed the tank with the hot water without the use of any chemicals. And we went there, and the hot water means 34 Celsius degrees. Yeah, so this is a hot water. And we checked, they don't use the cleaning agent. But why? Because silos are made from aluminum, and they don't want to buy specific cleaning agents to do that. This is really terrible, you know. I say what is going on. Additional things are connected with that the driver is responsible to check the cleaning, yeah? And in that case, when the driver is responsible to check the cleaning, is this driver really trained to say, okay, ATP was good, bricks was good, pH was really good, like we wanted, etc. And even this driver is confirming that with his signature. So he is responsible at the end to say that his transport unit was washed properly, yeah? And this is, I think, not a good practice, yeah? Because in many cases, I know the drivers don't know how to evaluate this or are not sufficiently trained to evaluate this. Additional things are there that sometimes for ATP tests are used different practices, for allergen tests, different practices, and this makes all the fuss about it, yeah, and all the problems. So at the end, when we look at all the cleaning stations that are there, we can say that the cleaning stations can be a big problem for us. Why? Because the supply chain is not so simple as we are used to. Supply chain could start at one location with loading of sunflower oil, going maybe to Italy, then it's empty transport unit going to the cleaning in Italy, and then clean goes for a loading, and then it loads milk cream, which in this case is an allergen. Then it goes in Austria, it empties milk cream, goes for the washing in Austria. If this is not washed sufficiently, you have the allergen inside of the clean tank. And then it's loaded in Austria, maybe barley malt, which is now contaminated with the allergen, going back to Serbia again. And these guys here does not realize that there is allergen in the product. And they don't have this allergen in the factory, yeah? And they are putting on the product that is not safe on the market. So you see how this complicated logistic chain can be really source of risk, but additionally insufficient cleaning and different cleaning station standards can be really problematic. As you can see by your eyes, what is the actually cleaning station that you would like? Yeah? These are some examples of the cleaning stations that we have encountered, the cleaning stations with the really bad conditions inside, and these bad conditions can influence the contamination of your product. Of course, this is the cleaning equipment for hand cleaning with hot water and temperature, the cleaning agents, cleaning equipment, you see. So how do you clean the tanks in your facility? Yeah? In this case, we have found the hoses that goes inside the drainage that get contaminated, and then they are entered inside the seals, doing direct contamination of the transport unit. Potential physical hazards of equipment that is used for cleaning, etc. Yeah. Then you see insufficient procedures regarding cleaning, insufficient procedures that are done on the ground, the temperature that is maximum 37 degrees there, and this is a hot temperature here for washing. So you can see in the cleaning station, this is not standardized. This is one of the baddest situations that we have found out. Hand washing that is not sufficient, also equipment that could lead to the contamination of the chemicals for the products. Of course, the bad procedures because the employees are not trained sufficiently. So at the end, what ENFIT did with the members is first time define the standard for the certification of the cleaning stations. Yeah. And the standard for the certification of the cleaning stations is the unique one because this is the certification of the services in the supply chain. Yeah. And with this certification, actually, what we want to do is to standardize all of these cleaning stations working in a similar way. Because you as a producer, if you are producing for some customer like Lidl, like Deleuze, like, I don't know, anyone from England, you shall comply with the GFSI certification schemes like BRC, like, I don't know, IFS, like FSSC. And these are strict standards so that every supplier of these customers are on the same level. So why then your cleaning stations are not on the same level? Yeah, we have to do so much. So why the ones who are working for us, they don't have to do nothing? So the idea is to standardize the cleaning stations, as cleaning stations now are not recognized as food business operators. You are the food business operator, transporter is a food business operator, logistician is a food business operator, warehousing is a food business operator. Why? Because they are handling the product. But the cleaning station is not handling the product, which means that she can do whatever they want, yeah? And they are working according to the rules given by the logisticians or transporters, which makes them very suitable to do any kind of changes as they like. So the idea is that they get standardized. After the hazard or transport hygiene risk analysis, the idea is to do the corrective actions, to define clear specification for the suppliers of transport and for the suppliers of cleaning station, to do the training, which is very important step for the operators on loading, unloading, or the ones who are doing the cleaning, to do the supplier verification if it's needed, or audit also the cleaning station. You shall standardize also the audits of supplier, the training, and for this you can use ENFIT guidelines. These guidelines are for free use if you contact us, but of course you shall pass also the trainings made by APCER, and also assessment and certification made by APCER. And of course promote these improvements. Regarding the certification of the cleaning stations, they are covering a lot of requirements. I don't want to go through all of them, but at the end, there is a percentage success with an idea that one day all the cleaning stations are on a level of excellent quality cleaning. Even if next year, if we get certified all the cleaning station and we are on a high quality cleaning, we can say that this is now a safe level of standardization of cleaning station with a digital certificate at the end. This means that the cleaning station should use unified cleaning programs. At the moment, they don't have unified cleaning programs. They're using the cleaning programs as they imagine they should use. Now we have developed ENFIT cleaning programs, even programs that are based on a previous load and based on kosher and halal cleaning. And all of these programs are validated, which means that they are approved for use in the cleaning station. And the idea is no matter where your transport is clean, in Portugal, in Spain, in France, the same type of cleaning should be if he transported chocolate, or if he transported some oil, or if he transported some flour, for example. So this is also a way to get standardized. At the end, we also standardize the document, and this document is now registered in EU as a document that is showing all that you need in order to prevent any fraudulent activities with the previous load. That is also connected with the digital seals that are put to transport unit, and that is also showing the certification of the cleaning station. Everything is protected by blockchain, which means that now you can have on your loading or unloading controls for this and get information in a digital way that nobody can change. Yeah. And there is also prevention on any fraudulent activity about the previous loads, because this could also happen, which could contaminate your product. At the end, we formatted also the trainings with our partners like APCER, and now there are trainings for the THR analysis. There are trainings for the employees working as operators in a cleaning station. Of course, the trainings for the other ones that are working at the site of loading or unloading. And at the very end, the idea is that you check also the ENFIT cleaning certificate. If you scan this cleaning certificate right now, if you scan this QR code, you can get additional information on YouTube how this works in real life. For now, I will say that we have more than 30 cleaning stations that are now certified in Europe, and these are the cleaning stations, but this certification started at the beginning of 2024, so it's completely new. Yeah. And this is the idea how to certify it in future. So for the very end, I hope I'm not too much over my time. You should think about your logical next turn. So ENFIT and APCER is actually the ones who are working together for the safety of the supply chain. So thank you very much for listening. I'm handing it over to you, Filipa.
Thank you, Vlada, so much for your valuable insights and for sharing your expertise with us today. We really appreciate your time and contribution, so thank you. Agradecemos imenso o vosso interesse e a participação neste webinar. Esperamos contar convosco em futuras sessões e muito obrigada e um bom fim de semana.